Thank you for making time with us today. And ladies and gentlemen, our panelists for today, for our fashion segment, of course, are Miss Erika Enylou. Did I mention it right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Who was the co-founder of When Fashion Meets, and Mr. Fred Mawuli Degbee. I don't know if I had the pronunciation right, but I stand to be corrected.
So my name is Mawuli. My first son is, and my second son is Mawuko. So it's all good.
Right.
Which Mawuko you know, but it's all good.
Right. I'm sorry about that. Who is also the founder of Heal the World. So just a quick one. Can we get a brief summary, a summary of course, of what let me start with what Fashion Meets is all about. Something very short.
Okay, no problem. So When Fashion Meets, I'm the co-founder of this amazing fashion industry platform here in Toronto, Canada. It was founded late 2017, and pretty much with this organization, we are the biggest free fashion industry platform here in Toronto and in Montreal. So what we do is we host a lot of designers, industry fashion, public figures to attend our free networking events where designers and brands can help grow their the industry. We launch a lot of collections, a lot of up and coming designers that normally won't be approved for mainstream fashion weeks. Our platform allows them to launch their businesses at our events.
Right.
The best part, it's free, so we get a very high very high attendance, and it's been an amazing journey. We've helped launch hundreds of designers, new collections, upcoming brands, and we don't focus only on the fashion shows. We do that, of course, but even makeup companies have launched their makeup at our event, and it's been a really great journey. And we're actually looking to expand in the continent of Africa. Pre-COVID, that was our goals, but after this is all away, we're going to try to get back to the motherland and take it there, because we're growing really quickly here.
Right. So, Mr. Fred, can you tell us a bit about Heal the World?
Not gonna call me Mauko. Just kidding.
I will. Maybe later. Yes. Hello.
So my name is Onyka.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Onyka?
Yeah.
Is this better?
We can hear you now. It's better.
Right.
It's better.
So I always believed that some of the best things in the world could come from Africa. The unfortunate thing is that I was not seeing anybody doing it at the level at which someone like Erika would be like, yo, why don't you bring that over to Canada? Because we would often do, because we thought they were from Africa, then we thought it should be a certain standard and a certain price point and whatnot. When fashion is about expression, it's about dreams, it's about aspiration. So I was actually a banker, and I went out to just buy a pair of shoes, and a shoe shine boy was passing by, and I asked him if you can make these shoes in Ghana. And he said, no way you can make these shoes in Ghana. So I thought, I thought it was just him. I thought it was education. But I found out that not just him, but everyone else, my colleagues, my friends were like, you can't make this here. And I did my research, and I found out about this these shoe brands in Europe that sell
Network.
shoes for 5,000, 10,000. Even though we have so many people, we don't do mass very well. So I decided to start a company called Heal the World, which would make beautiful shoes that would go global, and also be in a position like Erika to help the next best person come up. So I think Onyka's reception is a bit
right.
Erika, can you hear me?
Yeah, there's a bit of breakages here and there, but we can hear you. Yeah. So thank you very much for that though. So, but as people who work in the fashion industry, how are African designers or brands perceived globally, per your point of view, of course? We'll start with Erika.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think with I want to throw it to the history of how African fashion initially was perceived. I would say with African designers and brands, I feel like we had that very traditional way of thinking of the industry. So when you thought of African designers, you might think of like costume, traditional wear. I need to go to a big, especially back home, I need to go to a wedding or a party. So it wasn't accessible. You always have to find that local, go back to the market, to the village, find that auntie that, sews. And it's always, even here in Canada, it's the same thing. Like 10 years ago, I remember it was not accessible. So it was something that I only related to. I only wear African fashion or patronize designers when it comes to function, like an event. But now I think we've improved a lot. It's much accessible perceived globally because of thanks to social media, thanks to technology, thanks to platforms like fashion weeks, thanks to digital marketplaces. Some brands that I know that are amazing, like I don't know if you guys are aware of America's Zuba. They changed their name, but they're one of the world's biggest African fashion marketplaces. Also in Paris, France, there's Afrikia. That's another big digital tech fashion powerhouse that helps to promote and push the African designers and brands forward. And also fashion weeks across the world, like in South Africa, in Toronto here. I'm also head of PR and media with African Fashion Week Toronto. So platforms like us, we help to make our African designers and brands perceived positively, And what I love too is that people are starting to get in touch with it. Like now, artists are promoting, they can do more, but people now in the entertainment world are really pushing it. Look at Beyonce, what she's doing. She's trying to help put the spotlight on Africa. And even H&M recently, H&M, obviously, is a very internationally known fashion house founded in Sweden. They recently partnered with an African label from South Africa called the name Mancho. Mancho is their name. They did a big collection with them. So I think now we're perceived positively, but I still feel like we still have some more work to do. Like, I think the next level is to master the ready-to-wear fashion industry, because I still think there still needs to be some work. I still think it's not as accessible as it can be.
Right. Mr. Mawuli.
There we go. So I'm taking notes because I'm learning as we speak. So African fashion. So I am kind of an outsider to the fashion industry, even though I work in it, because I don't know how to put it. Like, I never studied it. I never understood the traditional routes in the fashion industry with the shows and the marketing and whatnot, right? But what I did know was, my wife is coming in. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Please leave me a nugget. Take just a minute. Can you take out? I haven't eaten all day. I told you I have to. Before I pass out. But no, back to here's it for real. For me, African fashion has always been ballsy. Like, it's always been over the top. And the truth is, a lot of people were not ready.
Oh, network. This is bad.
You can see me, Onyka?
Yeah, I can see you.
I know, I think I saw it was saying bandwidth issues, but hopefully, maybe he'll just come back on.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope it's quick.
Are you in Ghana right now?
Yeah, I'm in Ghana right now.
Nice.
Accra, the capital.
You know, Ghanaian jollof is my favorite.
Oh, really?
Favorite.
And
I'm Nigerian.
Why are you lying? Ghana jollof is the best.
Appear for 1 minute, and you guys are talking about
yes. yes.
No, I was saying, Fred, Mawuli, sorry, Ghanaian jollof is my favorite, and I'm Nigerian.
That's what's up. Look,
that's exactly what's up.
I heard that like Senegal is where it started from, right? That's what I heard.
Yeah.
The last time I was in New York, I went to a Senegalese restaurant in Brooklyn, and I was like, all right, let's do this jollof. Like, let's get it. And I had it. I'm like, you know, it might have started from there, but Ghana has the jollof. Ghana has got it. Like, like it might have started in Nigeria, but Ghana has the best jollof.
Yes, that's true.
So let me just, I've taken everyone's time. Look, African fashion, I just see it as ballsy. I've always seen it as over the top. And the truth is, the way fashion was presented for a large majority of people, it was fairly conservative. Only the really big brands were allowed to do over the top stuff like Versace or Ralph or whatnot. But that in itself is what African fashion was. I remember I went to school in the States for about a year, and I remember I had these big shorts that always wear, like, you know when you wear the cloth, you have like those shorts you wear under, right? I wore the shorts and a Hawaiian shirt to school, and I just felt so cool, like, and it always sucked that it had to be odd or that African kid. I can fly. So for me, I've always thought like African fashion is fly. It's just people hadn't caught up. The world just caught up with it. So that's how I've always perceived it. But I know that for something to work, it takes a village to make a child. So it's gonna need people like Erika with the platforms. It's gonna need the right manufacturers. It's gonna need consistent brand communication. So I know I've always thought it was dope. I just know it didn't have the tools in place for it to be perceived or respected as it is now.
Right. So moving forward, how can Africa build a solid ecosystem to support the fashion industry right here in Africa? So
Erika,
this time around it's you.
All right. Well, thank you, Mawuli, again. So I think it all starts with education, right? It all starts with education because we do so much by hand, we don't respect it, you know, and so what we have, Africa always had the raw materials, always had the people. We just haven't had the finesse or the marketing or the storytelling that the Europeans have had. And I believe, like, instead of saying, oh, we can only do 100 of something a year and do it well, we should say we will only make 100 of this. You know what I mean? Like so it's going to be education. If we get the education and like I love the way Erika started and went back into, well, not back into time, but went a little further back to talk about how African fashion has been perceived. If we educate ourselves on what we wear and everything, we will appreciate it some more and then be able to do it in a more contemporary manner. There's another brand I have that Yusuf knows about. It's called M. Musa. It's after Mansa Musa, right? And that came that came about after doing Heal the World for the last 10 years, but it came after about 7 years down the line. And that got there when I did more research and I educated myself more about African culture and heritage and textures. Then I found out that we had the richest man ever in our portfolio, and nobody was doing anything. And that gave me the confidence to build a collection and a brand based on that. So I could only have that through education. For the 7 years I was doing Heal the World, I wasn't going deep into Africa. I was not studying about Africa and what we had. So I feel like the first thing we need to do, once we get the education, they say knowledge is power. And then all the other things can come after that.
Love it.
Right. So Erika?
I really like Mawuli's point regarding the education. So I want to piggyback off that. But from my scope of it, it's true, we need to be educated in order to build a system. I think it starts with, oh, I hear the kitties. I think the system we have to start with, in order to literally in the long term build a solid ecosystem to support our industry, we need to start where from the main primary part is the manufacturing, just starting from places like that. Like people don't, Lisco, everybody knows about Dutch fabric, Ankara. Since the 1800s, they've been manufacturing our garments, right? And how come in Nigeria, how come in Ghana, we don't have reputable, long-standing manufacturing houses? It starts with us. We need to invest money. The governments need to come together, the politicians, we need to put money back into our country because Africa has so many, there's so many countries, and it's like, I don't know of any big name, maybe you can jump on Mawuli, one in Ghana or Nigeria that strictly mass produces our fabrics. We don't have that. We go to European nations to get that. Even AliExpress in China, the world's leading, marketplace. These are where a lot of these upcoming brands and designers are sourcing their materials in China. So it still doesn't even though it is it's inspired by us and we create these pieces of work, it's still, we're going back to other people and other nations to develop our own, So that's the stuff where I feel like to build it, we need to start putting money where our mouth is and creating our own fabrics, in our own countries. Also, we need more instrumental roles in the industry to propel the industry forward. So when I mean roles, I mean brand managers, marketers. We can't only focus on the designers. The designers, he needs a team of people backing him so he can focus on creating his amazing platform, but he has his team to help evolve. So even I'm a publicist as well. A lot of people don't know, on top of me being the co-founder of When Fashion Meets and working with African Fashion Week Toronto, I also own my own boutique PR agency, PR Diva Communications, here in Toronto, Canada. And as a publicist, I'm able to help designers. I do a lot of celebrity gifting with some of the biggest Afrobeat artists. I was able to gift them pieces. So these are the things that we have to keep on doing to help propel forward. Another thing that I think is very important for me to note is that I find a lot of our Africans, we think very local. We think very we don't think globally. We think a lot of the designers, they're making beautiful fashion pieces just in a summer mentality for hot, because again, Africa, it's a very hot, of course, summer season climate, but if we want to dominate globally and be perceived respectfully around the world, we need to make sure that we follow the traditional fashion calendar. So, with most of the mainstream fashion weeks, they have fall season, they have winter, spring, and summer. I find with our African designers, we only focus on the summer because that's all we know. That's all we're in, but if you want to dominate the world, you have to think like the weather in Netherlands or Australia, some places are actually cold. Here in Canada, do you know any big name African fashion brand that does winter suits? Do you know
No.
of one? No, we only think of swimwear and summer. So we have to really elevate our thinking and think global. That's why all the big global brands, because they dominate every single sector within the fashion industry. We only think about the summery and the spring wear. So these are just some ideas that I'm throwing out there that I think will help create and build and grow our ecosystem.
They will. Brilliant ideas. Okay, so fashion has been influenced by the digital world. So will it bring opportunities by establishing publishing companies and reputable agencies, including creation of awareness of local brands?
Yes, of course.
Erika.
Yeah, of course. The more we do, the better. I mentioned about my PR agency. If you're talking about publishing agencies and stuff like that, we need people like myself. We need more public relation agencies, more marketing agencies, more publishers. We're kind of heading in that way, especially in content creation. You know, we're in the social media digital world. Look where we are today because of COVID-19. We're on Zoom. We have to invest our money in platforms like the digital age. Social media influencers, celebrity, public figures, they are the go-to. You know, I find a lot of big viral Afrobeat artists, they're rocking the Louis Vuitton, the Gucci. Imagine they're rocking Mawuli's company and putting them on those big stages. That's how we're gonna evolve and get big. Do you agree, Mawuli? That's what they need to do. Not all of these already esteemed, you know, white-owned fashion labels. We need to go back to our community and put our own brands on that pedestal. I fortunately am able to do PR with Afrobeat, which is a really big London and worldwide artist. And while doing PR for him, I get to work with up and coming brands that he gets to wear. So I know I'm doing my part in the community to help push a lot of these brands forward. So but I need to continue doing more of that, you know?
All right. To jump on what Erika was saying, I think Erika's 100% correct, but I have to speak as a fashion practitioner that to make one item in Africa, you know, like one, you see how you're laughing? To make one out, you know, I can't even describe how difficult it is to make something. Now, because it's so difficult to make something, it makes it expensive to do, and then it's expensive to sell, you know, because even in a different selling process, you know, you still need PR, you need marketing, you need distribution. And so I am very careful with how social media has grown so crazy in the last 5 years. Like I just figuring out LinkedIn and TikTok popped up and it's worth $100 million. Like it's really crazy. And so I think that what people like Erika in the digital space can do with people like me on the ground, the practitioners, is to understand our businesses as well, so that you don't go too fast, too soon. Like I've enjoyed a lot of success, like PR success on our own by the grace of God. You know, honestly, we've had CNN and BBC, and like it's crazy. You know how it goes. You
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. No. So what I'm trying to say is like, all right, we had all that, but do we have the infrastructure to go with it? Like, were we ready? Like my website crashed for 3 weeks in a row, every day for 3 weeks, and it's like, you know how it is. It's like it's news and then it's not news, and so if you don't put yourself together, like before you go after the PR, like marketing game, like, you know, you have to do it hand in hand. And I don't know how Erika feels about that, or how deep you go with designers and startups, you know, to make sure that, yo, I'm gonna let Brenda wear this, and you need to have like 10, and like you need to be ready. Like you need to have that double-sided conversation, because Berna's hot. Berna's on Jimmy Fallon. Berna's with Dick. Like, if you put this on Berna, what do we have? So I think just being practical, it's like, if you're gonna do this PR thing, tell the African designer to bring their best game and do like limited edition. Like, that's how we're gonna grow. When you bring your best game, you do limited edition, then you create the desire, and then you keep doing that, and then you're in a position to do ready to wear. You know, like, you know, we need to be practical about the PR and the production. Like, you know, like, so I've since that whole thing, I've been very almost scared of going too fast. Like, I've turned away, subsequent interviews with CNN and BBC because they want to do a follow-up. And I'm like, yo, I'm not ready to follow up with you guys. I'll get back to you. And you need to, I think Erika can educate brands on that. Like, even though it's your job, that's how you put your money in your pocket. Like, if you're doing PR for a company that can't handle the heat when it comes, then it's a, you know, it's a thing for you too. Because where's the company 2 years after all your great work that you've done? You know, so that's just my opinion on this PR and digital, you know, world that we're in as well.
Right. Well, the PR industry, PR is actually not so strong here in Africa, sadly. So yeah, I think we actually need to work more on our PR as a fashion industry, or when it comes to the fashion industry. That's actually true. So we'll go see if we have some questions. Not yet, but I think we have some here. Yeah, we don't have any there, but I'm trying to see if there are any on my WhatsApp. Yeah.
I'm actually enjoying the conversation. So.
Oh, hi. I am too. I mean, it's fashion. Fashion is pure entertainment.
We can have our own conversation. We're operating in different time zones. I know all 3 or 4 of us are in time zones. So once it's recorded, I know Yusuf will put the word out, and you know. So what I was trying to say, like, Erika, is like, I don't know. I wanted to actually get real from you on how do you balance it out for startups?
Yeah.
Like, what's your process? You know what I mean? Like, what's your process?
Well, for me in the PR agency, like, we sit down with the designers, you know, they fill out a questionnaire, and we actually get to the bottom of, we try to take the stress off them, because a lot of designers, they don't think on a scale. Like, I think designers are very, very creative. Brands are very, very creative, and they just need the time to focus on creating their work. That's it. They don't want to deal with the wahala of trying to manage social media, market, getting people in their clothing, getting the word out. You just want to create your pieces. You want to show off your art. So that's why people like publicists like myself, we come in there to help alleviate that stress, to actually help with getting their word out. Do we do the connecting them with buyers and stuff? No, you need a brand manager for that. You need to hire and have the right people on your team. That's how brand managers are there, to help push your clothing to buyers, to get your product in stores, to help build your digital influence, your online websites. You know, you need that team. So the PR side, we focus more on the media side of it, the influencer side of it, the gifting side of it, and helping look at you positively in the community. You know, we're a brand ambassador for you. So the process is it's just figuring out the designers, their vision, what are their goals. Some designers don't want to go big, like you were saying. Sometimes they just want to design a few pieces for the community. Some want to be on every big celebrity. You know, you have the regular brands, you have luxury brands. Some people only want to be in high-end boutiques. So it just comes down to it's very individual to each designer of how far they want to go. And we work with them based on that. Some people don't want to go crazy and be sold at a big white corporation. They don't want that. They want to only keep it in their community. So it's hard to judge and say, if it's pretty much, it's on a case per case basis. You understand? And I love too that I'm able to work on platforms like When Fashion Meets with African Fashion Week Toronto, because from day one, for almost 10 years, we've been pushing designers like yourself to build that mainstream platform, because unfortunately, a lot of these designers and brands get turned away from these white-owned fashion weeks. Unfortunately, they don't even want to look at them. But people like us, because we get the struggle. We're the same color, you know, we get it. So we try to help these up and coming brands showcase to get viral. And some of the brands, some of the world's biggest brands have started their platforms at African Fashion Week around the world. So, you know, we have to be about it. We put our money where our mouth is.
Right.
That was my next question. Onyka, I know I'm not the panelist.
Yeah.
If it's free, someone's paying for something. So how do you do this free thing? Like, what's the angle? Is it a charity? Like, is it an NGO? Like, how do you?
I was interested in that too.
So for African Fashion Week, that is actually a paid event. Designers pay a registration fee.
Okay.
But that's not a free. I'm confusing two events. So I guess mainly I'm on the panel today for When Fashion Meets, the free event. So that's a free event for attendees to come to see the brand's launch. Whether we do fashion shows or an exhibit, that is free to attend. Designers do pay a small registration fee to showcase, to be the exclusive designer that showcases at that event. So I'll be transparent with that. We do sometimes have certain brands we do reach out that we do sponsor to showcase at the platform. If we feel they're gonna bring very big audiences, some of those we do offset the cost for, but the designers do pay a small fee to be a part, just for the advertising part of it and for the event costs.
Right.
All right.
Right. So we have a question here for Erika.
Sure.
So it says, Erika, how are you planning to incorporate African designers to pitch designs to African artists when they tour?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Can you repeat it one more time?
Yeah, it says, how are you planning to incorporate African designers to pitch designs to African artists when they tour?
Okay, well, I already currently do that. Well, pre-COVID, as my PR agency, I'm able to work with a lot of Afrobeat artists, especially because we're talking about Africa. I work with different artists, but you know, we're talking about Africa. So I'm actually known as one of the go-to people for whenever African artists come to the city. They usually, the production teams, the promoters, they hire our agency to manage the publicity and contesting around it. So what we do is we work with the artists to gift them pieces. So with the designers, they reach out to me, hey, we know Burna Boy's in town. I would love to give him pieces. So because of my PR relationship, I was even last year when Burna Boy came to Toronto, sold out show, the Ghanaian designer by the name of Nikwale also featured at African Fashion Week Toronto. She actually gave me a nice custom garment that I was able to give to Burna's sister, who's actually his stylist backstage. So I think it's all about who you know, whenever, and then you have to be smart. As a publicist, you need to know what's going on, what artists are going to be in town. If you're an upcoming designer, connect with the promoter of these shows. Let them know, hey, I want to dress you. Even the organizer, I want to dress you. Everybody is a walking billboard for your brand. So you build a relationship with people who are bringing that artist to town. And then that's how you're able to move and finesse your way and do what you got to do, go backstage and meet these artists. You know what I mean? You need to, and be bold about it. Don't think you're a groupie or think, oh my God, you have to be a hustler, have a hustler mindset and don't have any fear, because the worst is the artist will say, no, I'm not interested. But even there's I don't know if you guys know how there's another brand in Toronto, they're really popular, but they're around the world, the AIM movement. Do you guys know like the Africa brand? They put the AFR and then the ICA. Do you guys know that brand? Yes. I know one of, you know Jules?
Yeah.
Yes, Jules is an amazing colleague of mine. I love Jules. Like, he hustles. He is Ghanaian and he definitely, he gets it. He's another person, if anyone's watching, definitely connect with him. His handle, I believe it's Ghana Mixtapes on Instagram. He's amazing. Like, he hustles his shirt brand. It was first originally like a t-shirt apparel brand, like everybody, you see Akon wearing his hat on his recent viral Vlad interview, and that was it. He just went to artists and gave it to them, and then like, you just have to have a fearless mentality. So don't, you know, patronize publicists, marketers, the promoters of these shows. If an artist, you know, is coming to town, like, go on their Instagram, see who they're following, message their network, and you have to be hungry and keep on messaging them and say, I want you to wear this on your show. And we have a lot of artists that come in town that actually end up wearing Canadian designers. So I love to say that my agency has helped to push some designers forward through that gifting process.
Wow. Wow. Okay. There's a question here. And it says, do you believe in African fashion industry? Do you believe the African fashion industry has a role to play in changing the perception of Africans about careers in fashion, which is sometimes not so well perceived? The one name here, but here.
I do believe it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So my son, Aiden, I know, let me finish. I'll be right done. I'll be done, okay? It's grass. Aiden, I'm coming. So, Aiden, go, I'll come. I promise. Okay, then stay, but you have to be quiet. So that's my second son. There's 3 of them. So there's only one right now. So look, African fashion. Like I said earlier, I'm not a typical African.
Oh, wow.
What happened? Onyka, are you okay? Can you hear me?
And Erika. Okay, yeah, fine now.
Okay, so what I was saying was African fashion. A long time ago, I had a friend who was also in PR who told me like that being in African fashion is the biggest advantage you can have because she was in PR and marketing. She said you always have to sell ideas. You always have to sell ideas. You always have to convince. But in Africa, and even outside of Africa, once someone can see something, they can touch it, they can feel it, they can put a value to it, you can have a conversation. You can connect through what they see. And I've been able to go all over the world to rooms that are not fashion, centric business forums and all that, simply because I have something that people can see, they can touch, they can relate to, and then have a broader conversation on. So I do believe in the potential of African fashion because it's the easiest manifestation of who we are. I know there's music and other forms of creative, but fashion, like every day you have to wear something. You don't need to go to something. So every day you can rep.
Yeah.
You can rep it. So for me, it's not even like a luxury or whatever it is. It's a lifestyle, and it's the easiest way to get across. So that's take on fashion and its impact globally.
Right. Erika?
Yeah, to add to that question, it's a great question actually. Like, we have to take what is ours back, at the end of the day, of course, I believe the African fashion industry has a role to play in changing the perception. We have to, I look at it, I'm knocking at the door, you're not letting me in, I have to build my own door. I have to make my own door. And I think people, for that person that had that great question, unfortunately, it wasn't well perceived in the past, especially we were always seeking validation, approval from these other fashion weeks, from these other designers. And no, we don't need to, we have to dead that, cut it. Our people, we need to build back our land, build back our communities, build back the industry. We need to take our power back. So of course we have to go after it. So even with Fashion Week and when Fashion Meets, we're creating this platform. Myself, I'm creating a platform. When these events won't let me in, there's sometimes in my PR career where I would apply to go to events, they would say, no, unfortunately, we don't want you there, or they would just decline. So I started creating my own events, I like the challenge, and we need to, we have to control that narrative, and we need to build it ourselves. So yes, I think when up and coming people that want to get into the fashion industry, especially Africans, they see people that look like them, that are representing them, that are already being change makers and leaders, of course, I think for sure, like they would be influenced by that, because who else were the other influencers in front of them? You know, I didn't know any Black owned celebrity PR agencies in Toronto. That's why I started mine. You know what I mean? Like I had to be that leader and then now I'm seeing a lot of other PR agencies that are, you know, evolving based off the footprint I started. So, and you know, you should never be fearless. You have to go after it and create it yourself. If people don't open the door for you, you build the door and you walk through your own door.
100%. I want to jump on what Erika just said. So today, well, was it 2 years ago, Coachella and Burna Boy again were like he was on the schedule, and they had him written, and he wrote back to them on Instagram like, you need to make my name bigger because I'm an African.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's true.
And apparently his PR team were like, yo, bro, take that down. He's like, no, it is what it is. Like,
Burna stood firm with that at Coachella. I remember that. That's when I really got aware of who this Burna Boy was that year.
And so I'm just jumping on Onyka, not on Erika, which is like, you know, be bold, be authentic, be direct, and like, you know, and up to now, you know, it's double-sided because I know he's missed out on certain opportunities, but like he just dropped an album with Diddy. You know, Diddy, he's like Diddy didn't do it with Wiz, with Davido, with Two-Face, with all this, with P Square, like because Burna and not apologizing, you know, and knowing his product was good, and it's like it is what it is. You know, and like if you think about it, in the last 5 years, no one has grown as fast as Burna has grown. Like Burna, he's benefited off the Nigerian music industry doing very well. Don Jazzy, you know your people, you know Erika, like like who did
you are Savage? There's a lot,
like Banky laid the thing for Wiz.
The band.
It's been building, but you have to just be authentic and bold and whatnot. And it's like dating. It's like you just have to be who you are, and then not everyone's gonna like you. Like not everyone's gonna fit. But eventually someone's gonna be like, at the very least, I like this guy's consistency. You know,
and determination.
You know, speaking about your Niger artists, there are two artists, and one of them they're both very successful. And one of them, I look at him now and I'm like, this guy is doing well and he's number one, that's my mind. But this other guy, he just keeps coming out every week. And that's how we need to be. Like, you can say no, but you're not going to be able to ignore us because we're going to keep coming and coming and coming and bringing that heat, you know. So I think we have a role to play, and we just need to be bold, and I think this is what brought us together. Even Yusuf putting this whole thing together was him. I overheard you guys talking, Erika and Yusuf. Like, Yusuf doesn't know you. Like, yo, we got this thing. You're doing this thing. Like, let's put it together. And you might have said no, but it's like, hey, you know, perfect time and perfect opportunity. Let's do this. So, let's just keep going.
Right. Well, it's been a very interesting convo.
Really quickly, Onyka, sorry to cut you off. I want to shout out some amazing, since you guys are in Ghana, so I love Ghanaian artists too. I've had the privilege of working with Stone Boy, so shout out BIM Nation out there.
I know you.
Shatawale, shout out everybody back in home at Ghana. Love the Ghanaian industry is amazing. The fashion industry is amazing, and the artists are amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so
thank
much.
you. Okay, thank you. So it's been a wonderful conversation with you people. Like, I had fun. I wish this wouldn't end, but we don't have much time. In fact, we've actually run out of time. So hopefully there's another time. There'll come another time where we'll have this conversation again. Thank you so much for making time. And we really do. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Until we meet
Onyka.
again.
Thank you, Mawuli. Thank you, Yusuf,
Bye.
everybody
Thank you.
from the
Thank
Afri
you,
team.
So until we meet again, it's a bye for now. Bye.
Bye.